What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about a few different Marvel characters I think would be a good fit for Amy Hennig's new game. So this was announced, obviously, yesterday, where her company, or the company that she's basically the lead of, is going to be, which is Skydance, is going to be working on a new Marvel game. And this Marvel game is going to feature a completely original story and take on the Marvel universe. Now, that doesn't mean they're just making their own heroes or villains. Maybe they are. Actually, there's really no specifics to that, but I think what seems like people online are thinking is it's going to be a new story, but it'll feature kind of pre-existing characters. So I'm going to be using that, and I want to talk about a couple characters that I think would be a really good fit, as well as talk about a couple characters I've seen the most online. And so let me just start off by saying Daredevil as a game. Now, one reason I think Daredevil makes a ton of sense is something that we've talked about very, very often in the past, where, remember the leak where there was Wolverine and there was also Daredevil? I covered it on the main channel, and I covered it like the day or a couple days after the leak happened over a year and a half ago. And now the Wolverine game ended up becoming a real thing. The Daredevil game was a AAA, game, but it was not an exclusive to a certain company. Remember? Now, again, I talked about that specifically in its own video a few weeks ago on the main channel. So honestly, while I do think there would be other characters that maybe I would want more than Daredevil, I feel like it's probably Daredevil. Things are kind of lining up. We've heard about it a couple times. Troy Baker is always very, very, antsy to be, Matt Murdock. So, and by the way, I think he would probably be it if that happens. But, that's been a big talk. And then now we get, the fact that this game has been in development for a very, very long time. It does seem to make a lot of sense that it would be a Daredevil game. I personally think Iron Man would be pretty cool. Now, the issue, I guess, is we've seen him in several, variations of Marvel games that we've already had. I guess, obviously, Marvel's Avengers being the main one. But I don't think that would take away from the fact that he could have his own standalone game. And now the reason I guess I bring him up is because I think to Uncharted. So Amy Hennig, she is Uncharted. And while Uncharted 4 is actually my favorite of the games, literally it could not happen, or it wouldn't have happened without her. By the way, Uncharted 3 is a very amazing game as well. Remember, she was working for EA before this, and she was going to be making basically even what she kind of considered an Uncharted space game. It'd be like an Uncharted bounty hunter, kind of a Han Solo-esque character, and it was going to be a game trilogy. And that's what she was doing before. There was a lot of issues that happened with EA with a lot of those teams, and it never ended up happening. So pretty much where she goes, she's trying to innovate off of Uncharted, and this, I think, is going to be no different. I really think what we're going to get now is an Uncharted-ish style game that's just a Marvel Universe game, which is, by the way, I'm not saying that as like a negative thing. That's like a dream come true. I wanted that for Star Wars. Alas, that didn't happen, and now we get it for Marvel. I think Tony Stark, obviously, I guess Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of it really is what linked that in my head, but I think he would be perfect. And maybe it's because Nolan North voiced him in the Marvel's Avengers game, and there's a lot of charisma there. But that's it. He's got a lot of charisma. You know what I mean? And I think when you think, Tony Stark is not the same as Nathan Drake. And by the way, again, I don't necessarily need a 1-to-1 ratio of the new character, or the hero that they choose for this Marvel game needs to be exactly like Nathan Drake. No, but I just see a lot of the similar aspects in him, where there's a wide range of what they can be. They can be funny, but it can be emotional, it can be heartwarming, it can be heart-wrenching, all of, what I mean? I just see that, and I truly do think, Matt, even I guess Matt Murdock, I would say, is probably the same. You're gonna probably pick a character with a good amount of charisma to them. It could be a female, by the way, it could be anybody, but I just think whoever it's going to be is just gonna have a lot of personality to them. So that's kind of what I would choose for that one. Final one that I will throw in there is Punisher. I really would like that quite a bit. I don't feel like it's going to happen, and I don't feel like this would even be a good fit in the first place. I just kind of want to will it into existence. And the reasons I say that is because to get, much like actually, they've talked about with the TV show, it doesn't really work if it's going to take a very PG rated thing, where it's not, it's going to pull its punches and all that stuff. It's not really going to be what fans want. It's not going to be what we all deserve it to be. So I would argue, even though actually Uncharted 4 is a M-rated game, but again, like she wasn't for Uncharted 4. I would argue that Punisher, if you're gonna do a Punisher game, it would be grounded. You know what I mean? It'd be very, very brutal. It would be dark, but it'd be bloody. It'd be all that kind of stuff. I just don't think, number one, that's maybe necessarily the path that they're going. Now, Wolverine could change that in terms of the games, right? But I think the overall path of the games is probably not to do too many of those. At least that's kind of the sense I get. But also, that's not really Amy Hennig's style. You know what I mean? There's some groundedness. There's a lot of groundedness, I would say. For as crazy as those games are, it is grounded in reality. You know what I mean? There's a lot of historical things. It is about the characters. It's about the relationships. Yes, it's about treasure hunting and running on a train that never ends and all that kind of stuff. But it is grounded in some sort of reality. So, I mean, that matches a little bit. But Punisher, I think, would just be really leaning into that kind of action. It'd be leading into the blood. It'd be leaning into that kind of just very visceral kind of world, and I don't think that's what they're going for. I just kind of get the sense that's not what she went for in Uncharted 1 through 3, and even Golden Abyss. It's not what she went for in the EA Star Wars game. It definitely didn't look like it was going to be that kind of game, and I don't see any reason why that would change. So, to be honest with you, I think it's Daredevil. I think that's probably, unless there's another, which there could be another Marvel or a studio out there that's working with Marvel and they're doing Daredevil, but I just think Daredevil probably makes a lot of sense with, and in that case, it would probably be a more linear style thing, but, I'd leave the door open. I'd really want Iron Man. I know I talked to a couple people online, maybe Thor. Thor has a lot of, personality, funny, charismatic, so he would make a lot of sense to do as well. Actually, that would be him and Iron Man, I think, would make a lot of sense in terms of, like, pure personality and driving it forward with that, very Nathan Drake-like. But then, again, we've heard a lot about Daredevil, so I just kind of feel like that's probably the one. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. I do a brand new video on the channel every single day, and so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.